Tsuyoshi Mukuda, a 27-year-old young man, is accidentally summoned to be a hero for the kingdom of Regisijir in an unknown world, with the aim of aiding in the defense against its enemies. However, unaware of the true reason for the royal family's summons, Mukuda finds himself in a peculiar situation. Although brought to this world as a hero, he lacks combat skills but possesses the ability to utilize an online supermarket, a skill considered useless in that context. As the story unfolds, however, it becomes clear that his power is anything but useless. Through his ability, Mukuda is able to acquire food products and utensils from Japan at a low cost, many of which are considered luxuries in that world. While Mukuda prepares a delicious steak using his ability, he attracts the attention of the fearsome mythical wolf Fenrir. The legendary beast quickly negotiates a contract to become Mukuda's familiar, unable to resist the delicious dishes. With Fenrir by his side, Mukuda travels the world, earning his livelihood as an adventurer and merchant while enjoying delicious meals. The story begins, and when summoned, the four heroes have their abilities revealed by a man who is beside the royal family. The first one is a sacred sword bearer, which sounds absolutely awesome, and of course that is sick in everybody's eyes, with great potential. The other two have the ability of sacred magic, and also the magic of light, wind, lightning, and ice. And finally, our protagonist, Mukuda Tsuyoshi, 27 years old, has a unique ability of online grocery store.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you something.
We don't care.
Jerry.
Everyone wonders if this isn't a useless ability, and in the eyes of everybody in the kingdom, it is. So much so that Mukuda couldn't even fight monsters like a hero. Knowing this, he decides to live a simple life in the world and earns 20 gold coins for his silence. After discovering what his real ability does, the next morning he decides to go to a city called Kiel's, located near the kingdom's border, and he intends to cross the border and go to the neighboring country. However, upon arriving there, he sees a sign saying that all travel services have been suspended without any apparent emergency. Further ahead, he learns in a tavern that they suspended it because they didn't want the population to decrease, since if that happened, the number of heroes would also decrease as all carriages were suspended. He decides to walk all the way to the kingdom of Vinan along with Werner, a rank C adventurer from the Iron Will group who already had a similar destination to Mukuda. Werner's group is composed of Vincent, the group swordsman, Rita, the scout, Ramon, the mage, and Franca, who is responsible for healing, and don't underestimate healers. Further ahead, the group decides to take a break. Mukuda decides to make a meal for them, and upon tasting it, they are impressed with its deliciousness. Mukuda says he brought one of the ingredients from his hometown, and Werner wonders why he offered something so precious, but Mukuda says they can't eat without worries, and further ahead, the group faces their first challenge. Some monsters appear to try to attack them, but then Werner, of course, and his group quickly take care of the situation, killing a giant boar known as Reed Boar. They take its meat to eat during the journey, continuing their journey, and further ahead, they take another break to eat. Mukuda makes a delicious dish with fried bacon, cabbage, carrots, potatoes, and sausages called pot au feu, stuffed with sausage from another world and bread. Everyone loves his food, of course, and besides being delicious, it revitalizes them, as if their energy returned and fatigue disappeared. And it is true that a soldier marches on his stomach. When using his evaluator ability, Mukuda is shocked to see the increase in Rita's stats. He discovers that the reason was the food that increased strength, MP, and made him happier. Knowing this, he is afraid that somebody might use him as a slave to become stronger at the expense of his food. While everybody enjoys and appreciates Mukuda's food, we see something strange, a figure of a wolf hidden in the bushes, watching Mukuda and Werner's group. With 2 to 3 days left to arrive at the kingdom of Vinan, they decide to set up a camp to rest a bit. Mukuda says he will prepare something with the red boar's meat. He prepares marinated meat. As he puts it in the pan to fry, everybody is amazed at the smell emanating from the food Mukuda was preparing. When they finally taste the food, they are puzzled as to why it was so delicious. It wasn't from this world. The smell also catches the attention of the same wolf that was watching the whole group. When it appears to everyone, we discover that the wolf is actually a legendary beast known as Fenrir, who demands that Mukuda give him a meal. After numerous portions, Fenrir eventually enjoys Mukuda's cuisine and forces him to accept a family contract. After making the contract with Fenrir, he tells Mukuda that it is necessary to give him a name, and after several options that Fenrir didn't like, one in particular catches his attention and pleases him. It is the name Fel. Of course, Fel is adopted, given by Mukuru now, and following the journey together with a new member of the group, Fel, they converse among themselves, saying that they are sure they will be stopped at the checkpoint precisely because they are with the legendary beast. After all, there was a historical fact that said Fenrir was destroying an entire country. Because of this, they fear that important people from the kingdom of Inan will not allow them entry into the kingdom. However, Fel says they don't need to worry, as he will take care of anyone who gets in their way, and I don't think that's a way to go about things. He asks if it's time to eat, and since the meat was running out, Mukuru suggests that he himself go hunting, as of course he likes to do this. Everyone in the group is impressed to see that Mukuru can give orders to Fenrir, and shortly after, Fel brings a monster called Rockbird, a rank B monster. Werner comments that he's not sure if the group can defeat the monster. With the meat of this bird, he prepares a dish called Rockbird Teriyaki and onion soup, and wow, this is so funny. After everyone is satisfied with the tasty meal prepared by Mukoto, they finally reach the border of the kingdom of Vinan, and from afar, they spot many guards, and Werner explains the situation up front, but even so, the group is stopped at the border gate, fearing that Fenrir will cause trouble to the population. However, Fel informs the guards, including the commander, that he will not harm anyone as long as they don't try to harm their group. After this statement, the commander allows them to enter. In a subsequent conversation, Werner comments that now that they are in the kingdom, it won't take long for the king to learn about Fenrir. Mukuru responds that it's okay as he plans to travel the world together with Fel. And after a tour of the kingdom, Werner and his group's mission to accompany Mukoto to the kingdom of Inan comes to an end. Mukuru signs a certificate confirming that the mission is completed, and they bid farewell, and oh no. Mukuru goes to the Merchant's Guild to register and get his guild card, and soon after achieving what he wanted, he continues his journey, buying more items like an extra stove and other accessories to improve his culinary performance. After showing various flavors of meat sauce to Fel, Mukuru misses eating rice, so he prepares a dish with rice and red boar steak. Seeing that the dish looks delicious, of course Fel asks to try it, and since rice is not common in his world, he finds it absolutely delicious and comments that he has never eaten something like that before, and I eat rice every day, so I couldn't say the same. After a tiring day, Mukuru prepares to sleep. The next day, he returns to the Merchant's Guild to sell his goods, and seeing his goods, the guild attendant is amazed and rushes to a room. When she returns, she asks Mukoto to follow her to the back, where she speaks with the owner of the place. He is impressed with the high quality of Mukoto's salt and pepper, which could be presented to the royalty as a valuable gift. The owner of the place decides to buy everything, giving him 17 gold coins, that's a lot, whereas Mukoto bought the items for only 10 copper coins, thus making a good profit. He then goes to the Adventurers Guild to register in that guild as well, and of course the registration is quick, although, well, the receptionist is somewhat arrogant. She later explains that the adventurers have 7 ranks, from S to G, and that guild is not responsible if they get injured or die. Mukoto starts at rank G, which means he can only take rank G or F missions. And of course, after taking his first mission, it is to collect medicinal herbs. He then prepares a steak, of course the same steak dish for Fel, and wonders if these foods are harmful to dogs and cats. Mukoto uses the appraise skill on Fel and discovers that his stats are extremely high, as well as finding out that he is 1,014 years old. What the heck, dude? Anyway, the episode ends with Werner's group missing Mukoto's cuisine and reminiscing about their good times. The episode begins, and of course, Mukuru is organizing himself for the first mission as an adventurer, while Fel goes in search of prey. And before leaving, Fel leaves a protective shield so that nothing bad happens to Mukoto. Meanwhile, Mukoto goes in search of Kiaru grass and Maj grass, and using the appraise ability, he quickly finds out what he's looking for. Shortly after completing his mission, Mukoto takes a break to prepare lunch, making a dish called spaghetti, which exists in his world and in our world as well. And of course, once again, Fel is impressed by his cooking. And yeah, I would too. After finishing lunch, they decide to return to the guild to complete the mission, but Mukoto's speed would be too slow. So yep, Fel just carries him on his back, like, that's what you're supposed to do, you big dog. Sorry, I didn't mean to call him that. But with Fel's impressive speed, they quickly reach the guild, where they sell an impressive number of monsters, both rank B and rank A, and just keep in mind that this dude is traveling with a legendary beast, wolf, so that's kind of funny. Despite his apprehension, Mukoto summons the courage to face an orc, and this time prepares a dish called pork pichata, or piccata, with 2 flavors. Upon returning to the guild to pick up some meats he left behind, the vendor asks Mukoda if his familiar wouldn't actually be the Great Wolf, as he suspects that a Fenrir would never be someone's familiar. This vendor is a former adventurer, and of course having some experience in the field, he explains some important things to Mukoda. After that, they continue on their way, and Mukoda decides to leave the city as quickly as possible. Further ahead, they find a place to spend the night, where Mukoda prepares a very large feast of meats from his world. Fel eats everything up, but what impresses him the most is a black Japanese Wagyu steak of national production, which makes him jump for joy, and when I was in Japan, too bad I couldn't taste that. Well, I didn't have the money. Anyway, after eating anything, or everything, Fel comments that he always feels full of energy after eating Mukoda's food, and feeling capable of defeating his great enemy, the ancient dragon. Upon discovering why Fel is feeling so full of energy, Mukoda learns that he has gained a 50% increase in his stats, and Fel says it's a waste to stay still and goes out to hunt, while Mukoda rests and decides to sleep, knowing that Fel won't return early. While hunting, Fel feels lighter and more powerful, and he defeats many monsters, including a chimera that he had difficulty defeating. But thanks to his increased power, he manages to kill it with just 1 blow. The episode ends with Fel taking all the monsters he killed to Mukoda to cook, and Mukoda decides never to make black Japanese Wagyu meat for Fel to eat again because it actually takes a lot of work. The episode begins with a conversation between Mukoda and Fel, where Mukoda asks Fel if he uses magic when hunting monsters. Fel replies that sometimes he does, but most of the time, he just uses his claws and fangs because he's way too OP. However, he mentions that he is also skilled in wind magic, which is surprising, as he was blessed by the deity Ninrir. This conversation raises doubt as to whether Mukoda is capable of using magic, so Fel explains that he can only do so if he possesses magic in his status. Additionally, he details the procedures. Mukoda practices hard to try to cast his first spell, the Fireball, choosing the fire element. After some failed attempts, Fel suggests that he will develop better in real combat and take him for a test. Fel's theory is confirmed when after several attempts, Mukoda manages to unleash a very strong fireball that not only defeats the grass, and rest in peace at the grass, they're living organisms too, but he defeats most of the goblins, although not all of them. He then faints and Fel saves him. As a consequence, he gains a new ability, the Fireball, and very nice name of an ability. But of course, he becomes very exhausted after using it, unable to cook. No, where's Fel's food? Mukoda buys many sweets to eat, worried about Fel's health, but he explains that he was blessed by the deity Ninrir, becoming immune to all kinds of poisons, diseases, or adverse conditions, and yeah, this wolf is OP. Later on, they arrive at a city and continue their search for a map. Mukoda visits a bookstore and finds a book titled Basic Magic Anyone Can Understand, but without success in finding the map. He returns without the map and prepares food for Fel and himself. Continuing, Mukoda finds a bar where he hopes to learn more about the kingdom of Vinan. At a table, he offers drinks in exchange for information, and one of the men mentions that of course things have been tough since the new king took over, due to his territorial expansion attempts triggering wars everywhere. Another man indicates that the kingdoms of Erman and Lanehart to the east are currently the most politically stable. Mukoda learns about the existence of dungeons in the kingdoms, but decides not to enter one as his priority is to survive. At the end of the conversation, Mukoda reveals that he is in search of a map, but he has not been successful. The men claim to have a map of the kingdom and sell it to him for only 1 gold coin. Mukoda buys it, but shortly after the men leave the bar, he discovers that he was actually deceived, as he bought a map easily accessible to everybody, and it only costs 1 silver coin. And get scammed, bro. Despite this, he decides to head east with the experiences to carry for a lifetime. From a distant place, a deity observes Fel and Mukoda. This deity is none other than the one who blessed Fel. She wonders when her servant Fenrir established a familiar pact with a human. She wonders how that human became the master of her servant Fel, and yeah, you're definitely not going to want to know how. The scene cuts to Mukoda and Fel, who continue their journey to the sea, and as night falls, they decide to catch some fish to eat, and shortly after, a slime appears in front of Mukoda, and no guys, this isn't the slime that gets reincarnated, but hey. Anyways, the slime actually wishes to become his familiar as well, what the heck? Mukoda then accepts it and names it Sui, no, not Ronaldo, and of course it is now part of the group. The next morning, Fel tells Mukoda that he received a message from his deity Ninrir saying that she heard him despairing over not having a deity's blessing, and this deity is willing to grant him one, but with the one condition. She desires to receive prayers with offerings of sweets from another world once a week in exchange for a blessing, and yep, she's probably going to give her Kit Kat or something. Yeah, you never know. Not as powerful as Fel's, but enough to make him immune to status ailments except instant death or very strong curses. After making his offering, the deity receives it and blesses him with a small blessing. The deity Ninrir is impressed that humans have something so delicious to eat. After that, Mukoda returns to his training to try to control his new ability, Stone Bullet, that sounds cool, and realizes that thanks to the blessing he received, his abilities are way better. When he finishes, he decides to eat a chocolate, and Fel arrives and seeing him eating, asks for some of his food. Meanwhile, Mukoda hears the voice of the deity asking for another prayer and a chocolate, and come on, are you kidding me? Thus, the episode ends with Mukoda wondering if this was a divine message after all, because the deal was once a week, but she says that deities also need a little joy in life, and so their journey continues, and this is definitely so fun. Following the journey, they find a cave in a forest, but Fel says that it's just not any cave. It is a dungeon. Fel explains that it was formed recently and takes Mukoda there to gain combat experience, and before that, he organizes a banquet with the strategy of increasing their status to become stronger. In the dungeon, Mukoda does well, destroying several monsters and practicing his skills, until a giant wolf stronger than normal appears. Even with a lot of fear, Mukoda decides to face the beast and hits the wolf's head squarely with a stone blade, injuring it but not managing to eliminate it. Mukoda faints due to the lack of magic and is saved once again by Fel's barrier, but it is Sui who actually eliminates the wolf with a jet of acid. Oh my gosh, that's OP. Upon waking up, he talks to Sui, who responds by showing he can speak, but that's thanks to the victory they had against a giant wolf. After long battles, there's nothing better than resting and having a good meal, and that's exactly what Mukoda and the squad does. Everyone is having fun and it's time to continue this journey. We now see Fel and he decides to take a shortcut leading Mukoda through a route where Orthros and Griffons control the territory in that part of the forest. In the case of normal humans, they would need to take a full detour around the other side to avoid trouble, but these monsters are the ones with boss level statuses, but for Fel, none of them pose a challenge. The journey is still going to last for 3 weeks to be completed, and they don't have enough meat, but they decide to take a break. Mukoda prepares a meal with a black serpent meat, and further ahead, they find a forest with mushrooms, or that can cure any negative status. Sui eats some of them, and of course develops a special ability related to mushrooms. Later on, she learns to use this ability and produces healing potions. Further ahead, they encounter a Griffon that challenges Fel to a duel to prove himself as a good leader. Fel already knew he would win, but still, of course, accepted the challenge. 3 nights passed, and they only finally exited the forest. Now they head towards the kingdom of Laneheart, and on the way, they come across some bandits robbing a caravan. Fel and Mukoda saves everyone, and the owner Lambert is very grateful for the help of Mukoda, of course, and invites him along to travel to get to know the area. And this kind of reminds me of JoJo, but without the children, of course. They're with the caravan owner, and we hear the soldiers commenting on the fact that Fel might actually be a large wolf instead of a Fenrir. Mukoda is only impressed by how far the rumors have spread, but is continuing with the journey. Then, they arrive at the city of Carolina, the 5th largest city in the kingdom of Laneheart. Next, he heads to the Adventurers Guild because it seems like his license has actually been revoked, and since Mukoda stopped accepting missions for a month, however, he managed to make a new registration after resolving his issues. Mukoda goes to rest at the Griffin's Nest Inn, but remembers that he forgot to make his offering to the deity Ninrir. He does so and then goes to sleep, and the next morning, they decide to take on the goblin hunting mission to earn points to evolve their rank. By doing so, he earns 3 points and 3 silver coins, and with Sui's help, Mukoda manages to obtain many right ears of goblins as proof of the mission. And why the heck the right ear? Why not the left ear? But hey, we'll never know. With Sui, he eliminates them all alone, evolving and gaining a new ability called Proliferation, which is nothing more than the ability to grow larger or smaller and to divide into large groups. A very useful combat skill. After a tiring day, nothing better than Mukoda's cooking is definitely waiting for them. Mukoda checks his mission paper and realizes that the time he estimated to complete was 2 to 3 months, but they literally finished it in just 1 day. We then see Mukoda and his relatives returning to the Adventurers Guild to deliver the evidence and thus complete the mission. They decided to take on the goblin hunting mission to increase their rank as quickly as possible, but there was no way to avoid the stares of everyone around them, nor the gazes of the guild's receptionists, as Mukoda brought an absurd amount of goblin ears as proof of his mission, and that's way too much, bro. As a consequence, or as a result, result, the guildmaster Willem called Makoto and his relatives' attention. Upon arriving at Willem's office, he congratulates them and says he called them because he received an urgent message from the royal palace for Makoto, actually. He says that Makoto can freely roam his kingdom and that no one will bother him as they have already been informed, but he wants to be able to count on Makoto and his relatives' help in a moment of urgency. This means that Makoto will not be bothered by the royal family or the nobles, and his freedom is guaranteed, and what an awesome dude. Wilhelm asks Makoto if he wishes to rank up. Makoto obviously says yes, and he might turn into Seung Jin Woo, we never know. But of course, he would like to go to F, but Wilhelm says that with his authority, he can promote him to rank C instantly. But in exchange, he has to accept some level A or B missions for Fel, because the types of missions tend to remain open for a long time. Fel accepts. Before leaving, they leave plenty of meat from rare A and S rank monsters to be butchered. Willem tells Makoto to come back tomorrow to pick up his rank C guild card. After a good meal and a good night's rest, Makoto returns to the guild to pick up his card. This time, it is a beautiful silver guild card, and Willem explains that those with rank C only need to complete one mission every 6 months, so his license cannot be revoked easily. Makoto also receives a reward for all the monsters he left the night before. And guys, he has 1946 gold coins, 1946. Willem talks about the guild's request, and as for the first mission, he wants Makoto to hunt down a metal lizard and a herd of bloody horned bulls. And later, Makoto goes to Lambert's shop to buy a new bag, as his current one is a bit worn out due to their adventures. Makoto makes a purchase of some items and moves on, and he decides to have a hearty dinner since they will go after the metal lizard in the morning. After a delicious meal, Fel and Sui fall asleep, and look how cute they are, and the episode ends with Makoto having a dinner and enjoying a beautiful view of the moon. The following day, Makoto and his family continue their quest for the metal lizard to complete the guild mission, and I just love how they're just one big family of adventurers. Fel spots a cave and enters hoping to find the metal lizard inside, and upon entering the cave, they indeed find it. As expected, Fel just defeats it with one blow, then he suggests to Makoto that they move on to the next job. Makoto, Fel, and Sui head west, where the bloody horned bulls herd likely resides. They easily find and defeat the herd even more effortlessly, and upon returning to the guild and handing over the monsters, Makoto discovers that the metal lizard they captured was actually a mithril lizard, an even rarer species that only is documented once 400 years ago. Where this monster inhabited was a mithril mine, a very rare mineral. The discovery of the mine, along with the skin and the report, would be sent directly to the king, and as a result, Makoto would not only receive the hunting prize, but an additional reward of 5,000 gold coins. Our boy is getting rich. To celebrate, Makoto decides to have a feast with the meat of bloody horned bulls, and after everyone is satisfied with the feast, Fel reminds Makoto of the need to make an offering to the deity in rear, sending many sweets, cakes, puddings, daifuku, and other types of candy, and wow, I wish I was in Ninrir right now because I could definitely use some sweets. With the offerings made to the deity, they attract the attention of the other deities who also wish to bless Makoto. Oh gosh, this is not going to end up well, for of course there's sweets as offerings. With no other option, Makoto ends up accepting the blessing of all of them except one from the water deity, who wished for her blessing to go to Sui. Anyway, the next morning, they go to a place to test the new blessings, and Makoto realizes he has become way too strong and more resistant, and using all his magic without being tired. Sui also tests his new abilities with the blessing of the water deity, and of course becoming extremely stronger. While they train, Fel goes out to hunt and returns with the black serpent, reminding Makoto to sell its skin to the merchant Lambert. With the new ability to raise walls, Makoto builds a house for everyone to camp in during the night, thus, of course, the episode comes to an end. Upon waking up in the morning though, Fel asks Makoto what he intended to do, if he would go hunting, but Makoto replied saying that now he is C rank, there was no need to hunt. He said he intended to deliver the black serpent to Lambert and pick up the meats that remained at the Adventurers Guild. Before delivering the black serpent skin to Lambert, he decided to wash his clothes, but noticed that the soap of the world didn't lather, and remembering that he hadn't worked as a merchant anymore, he decided to of course take some personal hygiene products from his world, such as soap, shampoo, conditioner, and a hair mask. And I know that the women and the ladies are going to go absolutely crazy for this. He then took them to Lambert to see if he thought those products would sell well. Lambert said he would keep them to a test, and as his wedding anniversary was in 2 weeks, and he still didn't have a gift for his wife. The next morning, Lambert was waiting for Makoto with his wife. Lambert's wife said she had never seen such a perfect product, as her husband, even though he didn't care about hair, was exuding a very good smell and his hair was incomparably shiny. Curious, she wanted to test it on her hair and loved the result, and being very grateful to Makoto, so much that she begged Makoto to use their store as an affiliate to sell his products. Makoto ended up accepting and left a good amount with them for a while. After a short rest, Makoto decided to return to the Adventurers Guild to pick up his rewards given to him by the city lord. But what he didn't expect was that this time the value was 5,800 or 5,800 gold coins, and Makoto was shocked by the amount just like me. I mean, hey, that's a lot. And his first thought was buying a bathtub, which he wanted so badly. Before he could continue dreaming, something bad happened. A group of wyverns attacked a group of low-ranking adventurers while they were hunting in the western plains. All the members of the group were injured and no one in the guild had any kind of antidote, but Makoto said he had a high quality potion with him. Wellum was amazed by this potion, which not only healed, but was also detoxifying. Everything turned out well thanks to Makoto's miraculous potion. Wellum drew everyone's attention and ordered everyone to go on a mission now to kill all the wyverns, but Fel interrupted and said he would take care of it alone. So Makoto, Fel, and Sui went in search of defeating the group of wyverns. Fel, alongside Sui, managed to eliminate all of them so easily, or well, they definitely put up a fight, and of course it ends with Wellum doubting whether even a Fenrir could stop so many wyverns, but what he didn't expect was that they had already completed the mission. Back at the Adventurers Guild, Makoto returns with the good news that his mission to defeat the wyverns was an absolute success. After a full day, yes, Makoto returns home and makes offerings to all the deities who wanted his chocolates and candies. The next morning, as he walks through the city, Makoto realizes he is being talked about for having defeated 13 wyverns, becoming known as somebody who protects the city. Continuing through the city, he finally finds a shop that he was looking for. Well, the bathtub shop. After checking a few, he ends up choosing a green model with embedded magic stones, and since Makoto didn't feel comfortable in the city, he decides to go outside to relax outdoors with his bathtub. He prepares a place to put it while Fel goes out to hunt, and after a while Makoto prepares a meal, Fel returns with a dead earth dragon, demonstrating his strength. Before dinner, Makoto suggests Fel to take a bath because he is very dirty, and with Sui's help, the two bathe Fel so he can dine properly. After the bath, Fel's fur becomes so shiny and silky, finally everybody is ready for dinner. Back at the Adventurers Guild, they discover that the guild master cannot handle a monster as rare as an earth dragon, but they know Makoto can dismember it as well. Wellum suggests consulting the guild master of Dolan, as he is quite knowledgeable about dragons. Makoto says saying goodbye to everybody before setting off on his journey to find the guild master of Dolan, who can dismember the dragon and other rare monsters. This anime ends with Makoto, Fel, and Sui setting off to pursue their goals, growing stronger and enjoying wonderful meals made by Makoto. Not only the anime has ended, but this video has ended as well, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to smash that subscribe button and check out these other recaps if you guys want to watch some other cool animes as well. Well, anyways, I'll see you guys in the next recap, and Naruhai is out.